Taking a photograph is the act of paying attention. What do you notice? What are the moments that you think are worth your attention? And what kinds of stories are we telling with them? Often when I'm in a space where I tell myself, okay, I'm going to take pictures, I notice that my senses are heightened. I notice that I'm paying closer attention to the things that are being said to me, the things that are passing me by. It's noticing things that other people might not see. The things that you notice are not things that you should take lightly as a storyteller. The way that I learned about paying attention in photography was really observing the family albums that I had growing up. The way that they took pictures was definitely with a lot of care. The first time I photographed my mom professionally, I was sort of working with her and showing her how the images looked and trying to make her comfortable. It was a really fun moment getting to photograph my mother and my grandmother, because one of the things that I will always remember is the photograph of my grandmother holding my mother as a baby. Now every time I visit, she's always cradling my grandmother. That seemingly small moment of my mother holding my grandmother, we were commemorating that. And at the end, I saw my mom transform from being very self-conscious about what she was wearing and her hair, to at the end of it just wanting to show that she was in the stage of her life where she's now the caregiver for her mother. She had never seen herself caring for my grandmother. So when she saw it, I saw the look on her eyes, and it was special. We had never shared something like that. I had never photographed her in a documentary way. The best way that I ever learned was to make my own personal project about the caregivers in my family, to document them and to document people who are already comfortable with me so that I could make mistakes. It reminds me that when I'm photographing people who aren't my family, that they should have the same level of comfort with me. So when I'm paying attention to people, that means I'm trying to pay attention to what are the things in their everyday life. So I'll always start with questions before I even take photographs. What will you be doing if I weren't here as a photographer? I always ask that question. I try to pay attention to the relationships that are in a particular scene. So I tend to pay attention to, which siblings are close to each other, which parent is more playful with which child. But I think taking note of what strikes you or what catches your attention is a good starting point for understanding the kinds of stories that you want to tell. And then I think the act of actually making the photograph is it's like a puzzle. I try to pay attention to some elements that might lend itself to color. I try to pay attention to the motion that's happening in a particular scene. After I've paid attention to all of those details, that's when I start to try to pay attention to the people that I'm about to photograph. And it's wondrous when it comes all together in a moment.